Hello, welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Stevie. This is Stevie Reads. I am participating in Books and Lala's Buzzword Readathon. I'm gonna link her video down below explaining like all the rules and everything, but it is a very lax readathon. I haven't participated in any readathons on YouTube because they're so intense. It's always like a week of reading and you're supposed to read like 7 books and it's crazy. But this readathon is super relaxed. You can pick any month or no months or whatever you want to do, but every single month there's different prompts of like words to look for in titles, and if you read one a month throughout the year, then you get like, you know, all 12 of them. There's no like prize or anything, but it's just a fun way to like read your physical books, pick your TBR. And for me, I really wanted to read both of these books in the month of October and they fit in this prompt. So I figured I would participate. I absolutely love Kayla. She's one of the reasons I wanted to start a booktube channel. So very happy my first readathon I'm participating in is hers. The prompt for the month of October is a relationship word. So you're looking for a word in the title of a book that's like best friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, mother, father, husband, wife, you know, any like relationship dynamic. You find a relationship word in a book. So the first one is going to be The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I've owned this for years, really wanted to pick it up, and it was actually recommended to me, well, not to me, but to everybody who watches her videos, by Kayla. So funny, I'm reading a book that she loves for her readathon. Feels very fitting, but this is a thriller book and I've just been dying to read a thriller in the month of October. All I really know about this book is it's about a husband and wife's relationship, but there is a clone of the wife and the husband has an affair with the clone. I don't know. I really just want to go into this blind. I love not knowing too much about a thriller before going into it. So I'll give you an update when I've started this, what I'm feeling the vibes are like, but she's pretty small, about 250 pages. So hopefully it is a fast-paced thriller, but I'm just excited to be reading something kind of spooky. And then the second book that I want to read is Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. Sorry, the lights are so bright on this like shiny cover, but I absolutely adore Coco Mellors. I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein. This is her debut novel. I've read it twice in like the 2 years since it's come out. I've annotated it. This book is so good and I really love it so much for the writing. So I just know that Blue Sisters is going to deliver in like the poetry and the prose. This is an adult contemporary book about 4 sisters, but really you're only following the perspective of 3 of them because sister passed away. Yeah, I'm just super interested. It's been out for over a month. I've owned this book for over a month and I haven't picked it up yet, which just feels like a crime to me. So yeah, we got The Echo Wife and Blue Sisters. So both of them are a relationship word. They're both highly anticipated and I'm just so excited. I've been doing a lot of like TBR jar videos, which is fun. I feel like I'm reading a lot of my physical TBR, but I want to pick the book that I'm reading again. I just want to like pick something I'm excited about and I'm really excited about the both of these. So yes, I do believe I'm going to start with The Echo Wife. Probably not going to start tonight. It's pretty late, but tomorrow morning, as soon as we wake up, we are going to the lake. It's just a couple-hour drive, and then once we get there, it's not a fun lake trip. We're just going up to close the lake house for the winter. So we gotta like deep clean, put covers up on the windows, blankets on all the furniture, you know, just doing closing for the winter. So gonna be doing that. But in between shutting down the lake house, I'm gonna be reading as much as I can of The Echo Wife. But yeah, so excited for both of these. We have officially made it to the lake. I took pictures of the drive up here, but all the fall colors were so stunning. Hello, Jordan turned the heater on, so it is a little bit noisy, but I started The Echo Wife on the drive up. I only made it up to chapter 4, page 26, because the canyon is so windy. I was starting to get a little bit sick. But yeah, we made it up to the lake house, so I need to start helping out, doing some things. All I want to do is sit and read my book, but I'm going to get to cleaning. And yeah, we are only up here until tomorrow, so need to make the most of my time, but all the free time I have, I will be trying to read as much of this as I can.
So.
Oh my god, this is so beautiful. It's pink.
So I think we're gonna do it on the hot. No.
Unbothered. Okay, we just made it home from the lake. Excuse my greasy hair. I am gonna shower tonight. But while I was up at the lake, I got halfway through The Echo Wife, and I'm having a fun time with this book. It's wild. Like, the plot is absolutely bananas. I obviously don't want to get into specifics because it's a thriller. Even what I told you from the synopsis is like giving a little bit away, I feel. If you went into this completely blind, it would just be like such a mindfuck. But none of these characters are likable. Every single chapter I feel like is ending on a cliffhanger. It is just insane. It's reminding me a little bit of Annie Bot. Let me actually grab. Maybe because I just read this earlier in the year, so it's fresh in my brain, but Annie Bot by Sierra Greer. This, you follow like a AI, so not human, but you know, she's a robot. Yeah, this is giving me very similar vibes to this, just because the clone is reminding me a lot of Annie, but this was, I believe, a 4 for me. I had such a good time with this. Also, just like a quick sci-fi. So if you liked Annie Bot and you haven't read this one, I'd recommend, and vice versa. I feel like these just go really well together. But anyway, yeah, having a good time. It is super quick. I mean, we were busy at the lake getting it closed and everything. And yeah, it is keeping me intrigued. Like, I just want to know what happens. Closing the lake house went really well. It was bittersweet to leave there just because we know we're not going up until next spring. And then I might even start Blue Sisters later as well. I don't know quite what I want to use, what my annotation key is going to be yet, but I put some ideas on a sticky note. So I think I might set up my annotation key today and, like, you know, pick the tab colors and then maybe start and just read a couple of chapters. I'm just so curious about this story. Okay, I had to switch chairs so that I could get a little bit more lighting, but good morning. It is Monday morning. And I didn't really even read a lot last night. I did a bunch of laundry and I edited an entire video, so that's amazing. But I did read a chapter of each of these, so not much of an update for The Echo Wife. I literally just read one more chapter, so same thoughts and feelings. Obviously, I have to go to work today, but I do have this book on like the Kindle app on my phone because my library had the ebook. So while I'm at work, I am going to try to sneakily read as much as I can of this. I don't think it's too busy of a day, but yeah, halfway through The Echo Wife. And then I set up the annotation key for Blue Sisters. Also, I just love that I have a signed copy. But yeah, set up my annotation and I read the prologue, so not even the first chapter yet. But I loved the prologue. It was like 5 or 7 pages. I already have 3 tabs. I'm just gonna read the first paragraph because I read this first paragraph and immediately took a picture of it and sent it to my sister. I do have 2 sisters that I like grew up with that are mine. And then both my brothers got married, so I have 2 sister-in-laws, and then my mom remarried, so I have a stepsister. So I just have a lot of freaking sisters. But I'm gonna read the first paragraph in the prologue, so no spoilers. A sister is not a friend. Who can explain the urge to take a relationship as primal and complex as a sibling and reduce it to something as replaceable, as banal as a friend? Yet this status is used again and again to connotate the highest intimacy. My mother is my best friend. My husband is my best friend. No. True sisterhood, the kind where you grew fingernails in the same womb, were pushed screaming through identical birth canals, is not the same as friendship. You don't choose each other, and there's no furtive period of getting to know the other. You're part of each other right from the start. Look at an umbilical cord. Tough, sinuous, unlovely, yet essential, and compare it to a friendship bracelet of brightly woven thread. That is the difference between a sister and a friend. I literally read that, took a picture, sent it to my sister, who is my best friend. Like, oh my god, I just know I'm going to absolutely love this book. Coco Meller's writing is literally just poetry. To give you a little bit of the plot, now that I've read the prologue. So there's 4 sisters in this family. The 3rd sister is the one that passed away, but the eldest is Avery. And she is like kind of the responsible one because she's the oldest, so she's always been. It says she hates authority but loves structure. I liked this line that said she might have liked to be a poet or a documentary filmmaker, but she is a lawyer. Now 33, she lives in London with her wife, a therapist 7 years her senior. So yeah, like she kind of has a free spirit, like, you know, in another life maybe she was a poet, but in this life she's a lawyer. 2 years after Avery was born, their parents had Bonnie, and I put a tab for funny because it said Bonnie discovering boxing is probably how other people felt when they discovered sex. So this is what all the fuss is about. But it says that she's like, her body is tough and like she is very strong, but she's also just a very sweet, soft-hearted like person. Babies and dogs trust her instinctively. She is a terrible liar. Though her body is like a vaulted oak door, her nature is transparent as a window. And then the third sister, they had Nicole, always known as Nikki. Of all the girls, Nikki was the most girl. If Avery was sensible and Bonnie was stoic, Nikki was sensitive. She was a carnival of feelings she never tried to hide. And then the fourth sister, her name is Lucky. She's the baby. She became a model when she was 15 and has worked all over the world, which is another way of saying she has been lonely all over the world. So those are our three sisters, Avery, Bonnie, and Lucky. Nikki is the one that passed away. After the prologue, I saw that chapter 1 was Lucky, so it looks like we're starting out with the youngest sister, but I really do want to finish this. I just want to know what happens. So much has already happened in half of the book. I'm like, where are we going from here? Hello, good morning. It's almost 8 a.m. so I have to go into work soon, but very quickly want to say that I finished The Echo Wife last night. It was a 5 stars. I am just loving what I'm reading right now. Seriously having the best time. But this was so good. My very first Sarah Gailey, and her writing is just so engaging. I really appreciated like the pacing of this book, and the amount of twists and turns is so crazy. Like 50 pages in, something happened that I was like, oh my god, like that could be the ending of the book, but then so many more twists and turns just kept happening. It was crazy, bonkers, bananas. 5 stars. I will probably reread in the future one day. I hated all of these characters. Every single one of them was unlikable and selfish and just really kind of a shit person. So yeah, I hated the characters, absolutely, but the plot and the story and the writing was just so good, so engaging. The pacing, I never wanted to put it down. And I got this book in October 2021, so I've owned it for 3 years. And I remember when I bought it that I heard that the audiobook was really, really good. So I've always checked my library to see if they've ever gotten the audiobook. They never have. And then I also listened to audiobooks through Spotify as well. And for some reason, it's like locked on Spotify. You have to buy it, and I just didn't want to have to buy it. So I've been putting it off because I'm like, oh, I can't find the audiobook. When I own the physical book, and I could have just like fucking picked it up, but I just heard great things about it, and I was like, that's why I want to consume the story. But I'm so happy I finally decided to pick it up. Just funny that it's Kayla's readathon that I'm doing, and I picked this up because she read it and loved it. So yeah, I think this just shows I need to listen to Kayla more often, like we all should. But yeah, Echo Wife is done. That was 5 stars. Oh, you can see my Halloween costume right behind me if you're curious what this is. It's just 2 white t-shirts and 2 blue aprons. If you watch the show The Bear on Hulu with Jeremy Allen White, where they're all chefs, me and my husband are just going to be some chefs for Halloween. So, but yeah, that's what that is. And then yesterday I also read a little bit more of Blue Sisters. This book is so bright in this bright light, sorry. But I got up to page 38. I read the first chapter from the youngest sister's perspective, Lucky. And Lucky is kind of a damn mess. You know, she lives up to her namesake. She's had a lot of luck in her life, but she is completely spiraling like such a mess. And then Bonnie is the second oldest, and I'm in her perspective right now. So I think we're just going youngest to oldest. Lucky, Bonnie, and then the next chapter is going to be Avery. But these chapters are really big because, you know, we want to get as much story as we can while we're in one perspective. So I'm halfway through chapter 2 right now, but I really don't mind big chapters, especially when I know that every chapter we're switching perspective. Like, I like to stay in one place for a little bit. But yeah, that was my update. I'm gonna put this girly back on the shelf, and I'm going to read more of Blue Sisters. I'm just, you know, annotating it, so it's taking it a little bit longer. But on page 38 and there's like 350, so still over 300 pages to go. But I'm going to give you an update when I am hopefully about halfway through. Hopefully that can just be a couple of days from now. Going to read as much as I can. But yeah, this looks about halfway and it's chapter 8. But yeah, happy girl. She's reading gorgeous books. Couple of days later, we are right back in the same spot and I am just barely not halfway, but I'm on page 164, so I'm in the middle of chapter 7. This book is so good. Because the writing is amazing, but the actual story as well. Like, these 3 sisters are all in different parts of the world, but also just different parts of their lives, and I'm relating to a little bit of each of them, which probably is not a good thing, but just, you know, like little stuff. I like being in Bonnie's head more than I thought I would. She's the only sister that has no problem with like drugs or alcohol or anything. Drugs is a bigger part of the story than I thought it was going to be, but Avery used to be an addict and got clean and has been clean for a decade now. She stopped when she was 23 and she's 33 now. The youngest, Lucky, she thinks because she's not doing like heroin that she's not an addict because she's sticking to like the more basic drugs. So she's like, I have control over it, but she doesn't have control over anything at all. We did get to see her and Avery together because she went to Avery's house to stay with her. So we got to see the sisters interact in person, but now she wants to fly out to New York to see Bonnie. So now I'm going to see those 2 sisters reunite, and I imagine Avery's going to go back to New York too. But yeah, we are just getting like backstory. Each of them has a different experience with their childhood, and you know, it was a 2-bedroom apartment and Avery at the beginning had room, and then these sisters kept coming in, so she felt very claustrophobic because she knew what it was like before when it wasn't super cramped. But then there was Lucky, who never felt like it was overwhelming or anything because that's all she had ever known. But yeah, I actually sobbed like a little baby last night when I was reading this book. It's been a minute since a book made me cry, and it was in Bonnie's perspective. I don't want to give spoilers or anything, but page 113, if you know, you know. I was sobbing. I can't ever picture one of my sisters dying ever, and I don't know. I am just so happy to have picked up another Coco Mellors. There's basically not a single page that is safe from my pen and highlighter because I have to stop myself from being like, you don't have to highlight this whole paragraph, but it's just so poignant and beautiful. I'm wondering if I can find a quote that I like that is not spoilery. Yeah, we got a lot of backstory about Avery and her wife. This was kind of just a quote about marriage that I really liked, so I highlighted. But it says, Avery had previously thought love was built on large, visible gestures. But a marriage turned out to be the accrual of ordinary, almost inconsequential acts of daily devotion. Washing the mugs left in the sink before bed, taking the time to run up or downstairs to kiss each other quickly before one left the house, cutting up an extra piece of fruit to share. Acts easy to miss, but if ever gone, deeply missed. So yeah, that was cute. There's also one talking about love, saying like, it was easy to love someone in the beginnings and endings. It was all the time in between that was so hard. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of conversations on family and a lot of conversations on grief, but surprisingly more drugs than I thought there would be. Nikki's death was an overdose, but she had endometriosis and was in a lot of pain, and there's no cure for endometriosis, and it's like an invisible pain. So if you go to the doctors and you say, I'm in so much pain, it's not like, you know, your arm got cut off and they take you seriously. Like with endometriosis, like they'll just give you a little bit of medicine, but they treat you kind of like an addict, even though you're in a lot of pain. So it was just getting worse and worse, and Nikki was miserable. And she bought some drugs on the street that were laced with fentanyl. So when the sisters are telling people that my sister died because of an overdose, people are like, oh, being an addict's really hard. And they're like, I don't want to correct you and say that she's not an addict, but like, she was in a lot of pain, and the only cure for endometriosis is a full hysterectomy, just taking out your uterus. And Nikki wanted to have a family more than anything and like was not willing to have a hysterectomy. And yeah, it's just really, really sad, but a lot of grief, a lot of family and sisterhood in the, like, with the bickering fights as well. Like, Lucky went to visit Avery, and the sisterhood drama that occurred was amazing to read about. I was just laughing when they were like going back at each other, and then Avery's wife would just be like, she didn't mean that, and then she would say something mean to her sister and she'd be like, oh, she didn't mean that. But Anyway, yeah, just absolutely loving, loving, loving this book. Coco Mellors does no wrong in my eyes. Okay, excuse my very homeless-like appearance right now. It's like 9 o'clock on Saturday night and I just barely finished Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. Oh, if you can't tell, this was 5 stars. I love Coco Mellors. I know she's only put out 2 books, but both of them have really touched my heart, and I just love these sisters. They're problematic and going through a lot, but no matter whose perspective I was in, there was still gorgeous writing. The story itself, like, all of them went on such a journey. I think my favorite perspective to follow was Bonnie, the boxer. She was just so sweet but strong. Her story ended really, really cute, but yeah, love all of these sisters. And I picked some winners for this video. I can't believe both of these were 5 stars. My very first time doing the Buzzword Readathon, and I get 2 new faves. So catch me doing this readathon again. Clearly very different vibes. This one was a very fun thriller with so many plot twists and reveals. It was honestly a roller coaster of emotions. Maybe that's these 2 books' similarities, is the roller coaster of emotions. But this one, you know, just a contemporary novel of these sisters and their grief and coming back together to get through the hurt and the heartache. But thank you so, so much for watching. All of my socials are linked down below like always, and I will see you in the next one very, very soon. Bye!